helps you finish your tracks way faster. Check this out. I'm gonna start with this loop that I made here. And I'm gonna use CoProducer to fill out this song. So first I'm gonna click capture
I might should cut that one.
Now let's analyze the harmony and rhythm of my song. I'm gonna type in groovy R&B guitar and click find samples. So I like this one. So I'm gonna drag it in, and you can drag in as many samples as you want. There are no credits. So I wanna add one more thing to my song, and I think vocals would sound really good here.
All right, so the first caller, what's your question?
I have two questions just for you to help me with. It's pertaining to the Sabbath. On Exodus 35:3, which is that kindle the fire, and then also Isaiah 58:13 regarding the pleasure part. I was just hoping you could break that down because I'm confused a little bit on it.
What do you think the kindle of fire means?
Basically meaning just the way I see it is like not cooking, I guess, but just turn it on fire.
Well, why would it just be not cooking? What about turning? Hold on. Hold on. Why is it just not cooking? Because it doesn't say don't cook. It says don't kindle a fire.
Yeah, like in other words, even like in my mind, even like turning on candles or something like that. Like I'm just trying to understand it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you think you can't light a candle either, huh?
That's what I'm taking it as that, but that's why I figured let me get your breakdown because you're completely very different from I'll say everybody in other words.
Right, stop preaching that because I am different. I am different. And when I'm saying just so everybody understand, when I say I'm different, I'm talking about ISUBK, so I'm not talking about myself. Right. So,
100%,
so to kindle a fire back then, the point of that is the servants would be doing that, not the master, not the boss. So the servant would be the one kindling the fire. And the point of the Sabbath is so that the servant does not work. So kindling the fire required work. So if I was your servant, you couldn't tell me, hey, kindle that fire this day. Because now you're making me work for you. That's the point. And the reason why I said cooking, because most people only make it about cooking. But if kindle a fire is kindle a fire, you couldn't turn your heat on. You couldn't turn a candle on. So the Sabbath, and this goes right into your pleasure, right? So in Isaiah 58, when it talks about your pleasure, when you actually go into it, when you read the beginning, he talks about them doing their fasts and their Sabbaths, meaning they were doing everything to be seen of men. And when you keep the Sabbath, when you keep a fast, you have to do it for the Most High. Because if you do it to be seen of men, you're doing it for yourself. Like the people got to see you fasting, that's for yourself. But they got to see you keeping the Sabbath and you doing it for yourself. That's what your pleasure is. When the Sabbath was made for man, so it was made for you, but it was sanctified by the Most High. So the Sabbath has to be under what he would want, not what you would want. That's what both of them do. So the Sabbath is about giving that man rest. So you keep the Sabbath. That's how you keep it.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No sweat, brother. All right. All right. Next caller is 407-902.
What's going on, Captain?
What's going on, brother? You got a question or comment?
Yes, sir. I got a couple questions.
Okay.
I do want to know, can you explain Leviticus 25:37? If you want, I'll read it for you.
Yeah, I do.
I got you. It says, thou shalt not give thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy vitals for increase.
Right. So what that means is, as Israelites, if you lend me $100, I pay you back $100. Usury is if, like if you go to banks and shit, they do this. Banks do this. So, if you go to a bank and you borrow $100, or shit, if you borrow $100 from a nigga world, the way they press you for that $100, you feel like you gotta pay them back $200. But that's what they do. They charge interest on the can't charge another Israelite interest on a loan, whether it's money or whether it's victuals. Victuals would be like lamb or cattle. So if I lend you anything, I pay back. Excuse me, you pay me back what I lent you. I don't say I'm giving you 2 sheep and you got to give me 3 sheep. But if it's a heathen, I can tell that heathen he got to give me back 4 sheep if I give him 2 sheep.
So,
Anybody not an Israelite, you can charge them interest.
okay. And then next question was gonna be in Ephesians 6 and 12, chapter 6, verse 1 and 2.
It's who?
Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 1 and 2.
Okay, read it. And she said Ephesians 6 verses 1 and 2.
Yes. It says,
Shout out,
obey your
before
parents.
you read that. Shout out to the light skinned niggas with them big foreheads that they be hating on because we still pull all the bitches.
Nigga, wrong as shit.
Hold on. I gotta say that because they hating on the light skinned dudes with the foreheads, man. Brother, talk about my forehead in the chat. I had to have a comeback, brother. You know what I mean? Hey, you gotta mute your phone to Clayton that just joined. You gotta mute your phone, brother. There's a lot of reverb. All right. Don't hate on the forehead because this forehead ain't never stopped me from getting the late D's. You know what I'm saying? You said Ephesians 6, right?
Ooh. I always jump down this motherfucker. There ain't no fucking match I ain't jump down this bitch. For no reason.
Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise.
That's right. Go ahead. And what's your
I had a question about that. What does it mean to honor thy father and thy mother? What is the exact?
Verse 1 is telling you exactly what that means. Read verse 1 again.
Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right.
That's how you honor your mother and father. Honoring your mother and father is not honoring your mother and father by making sure they stay high, making sure they stay drunk, going to the Christian church. Hold on 1 second. Carl, hold on. Going to the Christian church.
So if my mom tell me to,
yeah, I'm listening.
So if my mama tell me to,
I can't hear you. You said if your mom tell you what?
If my mom was to try to convince me to go to a Christian church, would that be something?
You would be
that would be something I should obey, right?
You would be honoring her by saying, "Hell no, mommy." You would be honoring her. That's why that first verse is important. But let's say if your same Christian mama needs your help health-wise, needs your help financially, needs your help with something else, you could actually help her, and you should help her.
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what it means. That's what that means. Hold on 1 second. So that's what that means, and that's important to understand because, and here's something else I want to bring out that you brought this out. This is in the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 3rd chapter. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. All right. I'm gonna read verse. Everybody should read Ecclesiastes 3 through like 16. I'm going to skip some of the verses so you can understand. This is Ecclesiastes 3rd chapter. It says, "Hear me, O Father, O children, and do thereafter that ye may be safe. For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for sins, and he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure." You honor your father and mother, not by doing everything that they say, but by obeying the Most High because they birth you. A lot of times we look at our life, and especially we have a life of emptiness, a life of sadness, and we look to blame our parents. Our parents might have been abusive or something like that. But one thing your parents did, the one thing that your parents did right was have sex to have you. And because they had sex to have you, you're going to honor them by keeping the commandments. So now, because what you do, when you be a child of your parents, and all of our parents is messed up in some way.
No, you fucking.
When you keep the commandments, you tell God that he was right to let them have sex to have you. You got to go there with it. Because you can dishonor your parents and God by not keeping the commandments. That's why that first verse in Ephesians says, children, obey your parents in the Lord. The Bible says the fruit of the womb is a gift from God. You are a gift from God if you're born. In the condition that you're in the horrible condition that you're born in, you still are a gift from God, because you know what?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of children that didn't make it. There's a woman in Atlanta right now getting charged for murder because she took an abortion pill at 4 months. At 4 months, she took that abortion pill. That means that child is not here. But you are here. So if you're here and you have life, that means God gave you a purpose. You could have been through anything. You could have been through kidnapping. You could have been through molestation. You could have been through abuse. You could have been born addicted to something. But you still are a gift from God, and you can overcome that shit. You cannot live your mistake. You cannot live your trauma. That's the first thing you got to understand. And what I love about what I love about the truth is that the truth helps you to get rid of the guilt of your life, the guilt of your past. You might be looking at your past and be like, man, I was with this nigga, I was with that nigga, I slept with this woman, I was with that woman, I had got multiple kids. Hold on, let me move somewhere else. Usually that means I moved to, hold on, let me move somewhere else. Usually that means I got to park in a different location, so I'm going to park in another location. Let me see if it comes back when I move on. Let's see if we can get it back. Some bullshit right here. When I'm dropping some real shit. The shit couldn't have froze when I was playing. It couldn't have froze when I was playing. Yeah, to freeze when I was dropping some real like knowledge on mothers and fathers and what we should do. Y'all let me know if I'm back. Okay, it looks like it's coming back. Can you? Let me see. Oh, I think it's coming back. All right, y'all give me a 1 in the chat if I'm back. Give me a 1 in the chat if I'm back. Just let me know. I gotta put my damn AC on. It's hot now. Now and then first thing they say is repeat. Now I gotta repeat all the shit I just said. Which I ain't got no problem. I ain't got no problem repeating, y'all. I don't want to make it seem like Cap don't even want to repeat what he said, man. I'll repeat. Okay, all right, I'm back. So what I was saying is, when you come into the truth, the whole point, I'll back up as far as I think might have left off. So I'm going to back up as far. So when you are born, and you born in that messed up condition, even though you born in that messed up condition, you still are a gift from the Lord. I was just saying, a woman in Atlanta is on trial for murder because she unalived her child 4 months pregnant. So at 4 months pregnant, she decided to unalive the baby she was carrying. Now that child is no longer here, but you are here. And if you're here, then you are put here to be God's gift. When you are born again, it's to spiritually relieve you of the trauma so that you can now release it mentally. But if you still live as Tanya, you still live as Tyree, you still live as Rochelle, you still live as David, and don't live as Tazaria, don't live as Yapad, don't live as Kazak, don't live as Shawashanam, you don't live as, and I'm naming different new names. If you don't live as the new name that you became, then what you are is somebody that has not taken advantage of God's gift of being born again. And here's an example if you know you're born again, back to the honor your mother and father. So the verse that I read was Ecclesiasticus. The verse that I read was Ecclesiasticus 3:10. It says, glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for the father's dishonor is no glory unto thee, for the glory of a man is from the honor of his father. And a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children. So if you still talk evil of your parents, and you're supposed to be born again, then you are actually dishonoring your parents. Because the first thing we got to understand when it comes to our parents is that unless they were given the truth, they could never be fixed. God has given you something that he did not give them. That's how you know you're the gift and your parents are not. The gift that your parents are to you is that they birthed you. The gift that God gave you is he gave you this truth. Now, are you going to now punish your parents further by bringing up all the shit that they did to you when you was 5, that you did to you when you was 8, that you did to you when you was 12? Or are you going to take advantage of the gift that God gave you by relieving you of that trauma, forgive your parents of that trauma, so you can make sure your kids don't go through that trauma? Because you know how trauma gets passed down? By not healing, by not overcoming. If you live the trauma of what your parents did, and every time something happens, you relive what your mama did to you, you're going to take it out on your daughter, you're going to take it out on your son, you're going to punish your kids the way that they was punished. I was talking about abuse of one of my ribs, and she telling me, she telling me some of the stories of abuse she was going, her family and shit was going through, and I said, damn, maybe Carl wasn't that bad. They can knock it. I started thinking about, like, I said, damn, I got hung out the window, I was locked in the basement, I was all kind of shit, but then they can beat through walls and shit. I'm like, listen, as a people, we was fucked up. Like, we fucked up out here. So, like, we real fucked up out here. So now what do? Is as those of us that the Lord wakes you up to the truth. If you got you a husband in the truth, and let's say you ain't all the way in the truth, because, you know, women, I always try to tell brothers suffer from this, right? Brothers come into the truth, and they be so hardcore in the truth, and their wife is not hardcore in the truth. Your wife is a trooper. If you can understand this with your wife, it'll help you with everything. Your wife is going to be a trooper for life. So in our school, if a brother comes into school, after 90 days, he gets his Hebrew name. If he passes his officer's test, he becomes an officer. Your woman is never going to pass the officer's test. She's always going to be a trooper. You know what troopers do? Troopers fuck up. Troopers gonna come to camp consistently for 3 weeks, and then they gonna fuck around and miss. They're gonna miss a check-in. They're gonna do this. They're gonna get on your nerves. They're gonna give you the headache. That's your woman. She's trooper. And I say that to say, for you sisters, when you get that man and you ain't all the way right, the Lord gave you that gift. That your husband is a gift from God. The truth is a gift from God. All of that. So you have to come in here and you have to learn to let go of your past. So that's what it means to honor you. And it starts with letting go of whatever trauma you went through from your mother, your father. Sometimes it might be a legal guardian, like a grandmother or uncle or something like that. And you're not getting rid of it I'll simplify. You're getting rid of it so that you can grow, so that you can be relieved. So that internal trauma that you hold on, you can let that shit go. And then you'll see you're moving differently. And I'll let it go after this part. Because what you don't realize is that when you still live in that trauma and you ain't letting that trauma go, all of your patterns are based off of that trauma. When you let go of that trauma, you're going to see things differently, and now all of your patterns are going to be opposite of what that trauma is. I know a sister that got a man, that man was doing everything for her, and the bitch left anyway. He did everything she wanted, the bitch still left, and then she decides she want to try to come back, and then now he's acting different because he's let go of that trauma, and she want to be treated like she was when he was doing everything for her. And when I was counseling him, because I was his counselor, I told him, what you doing is right. I said, and you see she's still coming, right? He said, yeah. I said, because that's what you should have done in the first place. Because now what she's acting like is a spoiled brat. She want the pampering, but the reason why she ain't getting the pampering is because she left. So now she got to do what? You know what she got to do? She got to earn that. said you had other questions, right? And I do got other callers, so I'll take one more question. Salakia for ranting.
I have one more.
Go ahead.
And it's gonna be fast. Hey, you said when we die, you said we reincarnated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you in the truth, does that mean when you die, when you get reincarnated, would you have to find that truth over again?
You may or may not, but one thing I'll tell you is that you'll be in the truth again.
So there ain't no chance I'm gonna come back as an Edomite or nothing like that.
Hell no, nigga.
Oh, all right.
So when you say the truth, the way I'm answering it like, well, I pray for us all. If we go in this life, I pray in the next life be in the kingdom. But what I mean by coming into the truth, like you might be born and your parents might have not been in the truth. You'll be an Israelite, but you may have to work your way back into the truth, or you could be born back into the truth. But as far as your tribe, if you a Judite now, you was always a Judite. That's what I'm saying. If you was a white man, you was always an Edomite. If you was Chinese, you don't jump tribes.
Okay, that's some good information.
Yeah, hell, I know. You listen. I don't want to come back as no white man. Man, please.
Exactly. That's my one fear right there.
I remember. Hold on one second. Caller, hold on. I remember I was listening to this skit. And this brother was like, I'm glad I'm black. I don't want to be white. I'm built for the struggle. Now, I ain't going to say I'm built for the struggle, but I am built to be black. I do not want to be white, ever. Ever. But I appreciate the call, brother. And that was a good question, too.
Yes, sir.
About the honor mother father. That was a good question. All right.
Appreciate you.
All right. Next
Yo, I'm getting murdered.
346-430.
Shalom, Jay. Y'all about to get your
Hey, Shalom. What's going on? You got a question or comment?
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear
Cut
me?
on time, sir.
Good.
Cut on time, sir. I can hear you. I had a couple things to say real quick, sir. I want to say, I remember before I got into the UGK, sir, there was something that you had said that resonated with me, and you had said something along the lines of, "I am the captain of all Israel." I don't know if you ever remember making that statement before, sir.
I am.
And just before I got into the ISUBK, and it resonated. I sat back and I thought about what you said, and I was like, you have that characteristic. Like you display exactly what you just said, and it's not something that Haki said that you take for granted. And I just want to say the water for that, sir, because that really shows your character, and it just shows, how we all should be, first and foremost, sir.
Christ, I appreciate it.
And I want to say, secondly, I'm going to be at the Passover, sir. And I know you said
I'm gonna be
like
there
your
too.
oil.
I'm gonna be at the Passover too. Ain't that something?
And so, I'm in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I got kitchen duty, shamar duty, things like that, sir. And I didn't want to miss out on
whatever. What? Get oils.
Sir.
Yeah, just text me what you want. I'll put it to the side.
Sir. That's all I have, sir. That's what I'm
Yeah, it is, man. Listen, I'm the going to fucking money.
On the last call when you said hell no, you want to come back as an Edomite. I want to hop on and say I'm reincarnated as King David, but I'm.
Yeah, I do not listen, man. I would rather come out as a black man and just sweeps up trash all day. I'll take that job, as long as I ain't got to be a white man. I don't want to be white.
I'm right.
Damn right. Caller, hold on. Yeah, I was from Shabbat. All right, next caller is Daniel. Daniel Zeroni.
Oh.
Daniel Zeroni.
What's
going on, man?
You hear me?
I can hear you.
Peace, God.
Oh, no.
I
ain't no God. You must be a 5% or something, huh?
I'm not a 5%. I'll explain a little bit about how I feel, but I would say this, though. I want to say a few things. I need you to stay with me.
few things I want to say. The Hebrew Israelites, in my opinion, has the most accurate um, keeping of time, of genetics, and of theology. I'll start with that. I'm not a Hebrew Israelite, but I will give it to you. I have the most accurate.
Okay.
Next, I would like to, the brother that just came up, I just wanted to kind of speak to your audience and just speak to the people that's listening, because I feel like you and God, like, you need more honor and praise in the aspect of there's a fear that's in a lot of black men. And we're afraid to be who we are, destined who we are. And I think that's rooted in us not remembering who we are. Once you remember who you are and where you come from, you own it. Like, so there's nothing wrong with this brother saying that he the realest nigga alive, or however you feel, you know what I'm saying? And that should be a trait that a lot of us sharing that we start to, cultivate within our communities a lot more. Because how can we put on the armor of God if we feel like that? I never understood that point right there.
Say the last part.
I said, how can we put on the armor of God if we feel like peasants? If we believe ourselves to be peasants?
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you on that one.
They say even the people that built the pyramids weren't slaves. They said that those were scholars and skilled laborers. So the people that built the pyramids, you know what I'm saying, were honorable men. Why shouldn't all of us be honorable men? But to my question though, Cap, my question is, and I want to kind of ask it in part because I don't want you to just give me a direct scripture response, because a lot of questions get swept under the rug if you keep referring back.
Hold on.
The commandments that we're supposed to keep, those commandments came before the time of Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, they came before the time of Christ Emmanuel.
Right, they did.
Okay. So Jesus came, sorry, stop saying it. Christ Emmanuel came after the commandments. So he didn't come to give us the commandments. The commandments was already here. What was Christ Emmanuel's purpose of coming? And then once you answer, I'm gonna tell you what I believe. What should I say what I believe first?
Yahweh's purpose of coming was to redeem us back to the Most High and give us the spirit of the commandments, the spirit of the law, how to actually keep the law, because we was keeping it by the letter. He gave us the spirit of how to keep the law. That was his purpose.
Okay. And I want to go to the scripture, because the scripture, the theology that you all subscribe to, in the scripture, it says that Christ Emmanuel came back to remove the boundaries of the children of Israel being the only ones that was allowed to come to God. And he came and he broke the bond and allowed anybody to become an Israelite if they seek God. He said that if you seek the Creator, they'll find me.
Poor brother. You think you want to be a god, but you still want to be a peasant. That is peasant talk right there. You are a peasant. The peasant that you was talking about, that's what you are. You are a peasant because you're taking.
No, sir, but I will let
I
you
just want to finish.
explain.
I'm gonna tell you why you're a peasant. You are a peasant because you want to take the God's inheritance and give it to the peasants and give it to the peons. This inheritance that God gave the children in Psalms 82 and 6, when it says, "Ye are gods," that's God telling the children of Israel that He made them to be gods. And what you're saying is that Christ came.
Can I stop you right there?
If you could respectfully just stop talking. I didn't interrupt you when you were talking, man. That's why you can't hear it, peasant.
You have a misperception of
You said that Christ came to tear down the wall so everybody could be an Israelite. That is peasant talk. Don't interrupt me.
No,
again.
I said that that's what
You don't know. Before we get to the Bible, you are further. You work now. You worse than a peasant. Because you know what worse than peasants think. You know what black people think. Black people think they know the law. This off the Bible. Black people think they're certified paralegal. When somebody say they got arrested for some crime or some shit, and they say, "What you got convicted of? What you got arrested for?" "Oh man, you only gonna get probation for that, man. They can't lock you up for that. How the fuck they lock you? Black people swear they know something about something they never studied. And here it is, you're a man that don't ascribe to the Bible, but think you're gonna tell a man that does ascribe to the Bible what the Bible means, and then the person that you're coming to is saying that it makes us the gods.
I'm not trying to tell you what it means.
If you can't rest, listen, brother, rest in your femininity, because I asked you to let me finish, and you won't let me finish. When I'm finished, I'm gonna let you talk. You keep interrupting me. Don't get mad at me because you live in a peasant life, and I'm living a God life. Because as God is telling the children of Israel, they're going to be gods. You don't agree with the text, but you're coming with a peasant doctrine to take the God's promise and give it to the peasants, the people that we're supposed to rule over. You're telling me they get to rule with us. You have the floor. Now, as I give you the floor back, please give me the scriptures that lets us all be peasants together. Please give us the scriptures.
Can I start my second part with a question? May I ask you what's your age, Chuck?
51.
51.
Real nigga. 51. The flyers 51 niggas you gonna see in your life.
Where the hell?
I'm 28. I'm half your age, and the reason why I say that is because not once was I ever trying to tell you anything or trying to turn anything like that. I'm a young brother that speaks understanding. The first thing that I did when I came
Nigga, stop trying to get men to understand you, man.
I don't think it's right that men in your position turn and do that when people are seeking some type of guidance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry with that.
Yeah, you see
I
how
don't
you
believe in
ask,
any
you see how you
scripture. I
ask
never
my
said.
age.
I never said that.
Wait.
That's what the scripture says.
One second.
I mean, I never said that. I believe
Wait,
that.
brother, I just want to stop you. Thank you. Before you go into that, I just want to address the age thing. You see how I said I'm 51 and you 28, right? You ever seen the movie? You ever seen the movie Equalizer with Denzel Washington? The second one, not the first one.
I can't say I've seen all, but I think.
Okay, so there's a scene in the movie Equalizer, right? So in the movie Equalizer, Denzel Washington befriends this young brother that knows how to paint, and he's a black man, and so he takes a liking to him, almost like a father-son type of relationship, right? And so Denzel invites the young man into his home. When the young man comes into his home, Denzel is cooking something on the stove. And when the young man sees it, he immediately goes to the stove and puts his hand in it. And Denzel Washington popped the shit out of his hand. And the son, the brother, as he should, and the brother's looking at him surprisingly, and Denzel Washington says, "I'm not your mama." That's what he says. And so I'm saying that to say, I'm not your mama either. I'm a man like you a man. And this is how men talk.
Right.
This is not,
right.
just let me finish.
Right.
Just let me finish so you're not going to receive it if you interrupt it. So as a man, I'm going to talk to you as a man. I'm not calling you names. That's why I used your words. You started off using God and peasants. And so I'm showing you the way that you're going is bringing us to be peasants. So I'm just talking to you as a man. This is how men talk to men. Now you can proceed with your second part.
Brandon, that's how men talk to men. If you misunderstood me, you misperceived me. I don't have this intention. I'm just bringing that question to you to see what's your understanding of it, because that's in the book. I read that from out of the book. I'm just trying to, compare and contrast.
Yeah, give me to the book. Give me to where you read that out the book.
I'm actually not looking at the scripts right now. I'm actually out in the field right now.
But can you paraphrase? If you can paraphrase the scripture you talking about that says that Christ gave it to all, I can search it and find it for you.
Oh man, let me find my.
Okay, now as you find that, good. Christ was saying that what?
Christ was saying that he came back to, be the bridge that allows everybody who seeks.
There's no verse that says that, brother. There's no verse that says that he came to be the bridge for everybody. There's no verse where Christ said that. Not one. Christ, I can
I'm
tell
not
you,
gonna contest
Christ
that. I
said,
have it in front of
listen,
me.
no
I'm
problem.
gonna say that for somebody else. I just
No
want to bring
problem.
it up to get your
So
understanding on that.
let
You
me
said
help you
that's
out.
not
This
for
what
everybody.
these are the things Christ said. Christ said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Christ said, ye worship ye know not what, we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Christ said to his disciples, go not into the way of the Gentiles, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. His brother James said to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, here's my last advice to you as a man to a brother, or a man to a son, or a man to a young man. If you are ever going to have a conversation, what'd you say?
I'm a king and a god.
You are not a king and a god. You are a peasant. God, let me tell you, let me tell you, God, let me tell you something. God, let me tell you something.
I want to say one thing.
Hey, you know, man. Hey, wait, hold on. Wait, when God,
I just want to say one thing.
You can't say it, man. That man is a peasant. Maybe one day he can grow up, but gods don't think anybody's equal with them. Next caller is, I wanted to give him 5 + 5, but you know he wasn't working 5 + 5. Next caller is 909-266.
Hey, how you doing, Cap?
I'm good, bro. What's going on?
Yeah, man. So I had a question. My cousin, I'm a new Israelite. I just coming to the truth. I'm still kind of learning everything, but my cousin, they subscribe to like the book of Enoch and the tablets, the Sumerian tablets and all of that stuff. And they bring to me like you know, this stuff is before the Bible. It talks about the lost time of Jesus, because you know in the Bible it don't speak about Jesus' whole timeline. So
How could Enoch have the lost time of Jesus when Enoch is supposed to be before Jesus? You know what you do with the Enoch and Sumerian tablets next time you see them? Wait, you in California?
Yeah, I'm in Cali. San Bernardino.
Yeah, y'all got, San Bernardino. I'm gonna give you, we got a school in San Bernardino. And San Bernardino got good weather. Do you grill? Do y'all grill out there? Y'all grill?
We do.
Listen, you tell whoever got that background music, background noise, if y'all can mute your mic, please. I don't know if you got kids in your background. Is that you?
Yeah, that was me.
No. Then you good. As long as it's you, that's fine. So what you could do is the next time y'all grilling, take them books and burn that shit on that grill. Watch that fire. You got the greatest barbecue chicken, hamburgers, and hot dogs when you burn the shit out of them dumbass books. The Book of Enoch is a book about the Book of Enoch. It's not even a real book. There is no record that there was a book. There's a record of a man named Enoch and things that he said, but there's no record of a book. And so all somebody did was come and just purport a book called Enoch, but it goes against the teachings that are actually in the Bible. The Sumerian tablets are not even Israelite records. Sumeria existed before the children of Israel existed. That's a fact. But that has nothing to do with us. That's just like Egyptian records exist before the children of Israel. That's a fact. But it has nothing to do with us. And what they're doing is they're going to bring you into idolatry. All right? So
yeah, that was his whole stance that the book that Enoch was in the Bible. So how could we say the book of Enoch is not
the
canon?
man named
they
Enoch.
Spoke about him being
What you tell him is a man by the name of Enoch is in the Bible, but a book of Enoch is not in the Bible. That's the difference.
You got a point.
Most definitely.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, that answered my question.
Let me tell them to call in and talk. You want the phone number for the school in San Bernardino?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely trying to get involved.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yes, sir. Let me put this down. Hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the number?
619
619
259
259
1083.
1083.
All right,
man. Well, thank you, man. Pleasure talking to you, man.
Likewise, brother. Take care. All right. Next, no problem. Next caller, 917-995.
What's up, sir? Good afternoon.
Yo, I must be shining. Wait, hold on. Before you go, brother. I must be shining for real, because I done had people in the chat say I'm shining. Brother just texted me and said, what product you shined up with today on the Car Chronicles? I made a body butter not last night. So I made a body butter the other day that actually goes with the spray that I'm wearing. Because you know when I come down to the Passover, I try to smell different. So what I put on today is a combination of effing her and sincere. I call it effing sincere. That's what I call it. Because when I was in the world, my hood name was Sincere. They used to call me Sin for short. That's where the Sincere brand comes from.